So this graphics card popped up on the Facebook Marketplace about 6 months ago. I was browsing and I had to have it. It was $100. And considering how old this graphics card is, it was really good value. And even buying it at $100, I could still make some profit on it. But my true motive behind it was back in 2017 when it was released. This was the graphics card of my dreams. Number one, I loved the theme behind it. It was powerful. It was the best. And in 2017, I didn't have, a lot of dollars back then. So I was just rocking something like a 1060. To get something like this would have been awesome, but I wasn't going to break the bank. I got bills to pay, got a garage to, work in, got things going on. So I had to do the responsible thing and just ignore it and just dream on. But computer hardware, as you know, it gets better, values go down, new things come out like every year. So it was more for just the cool idea and theme behind it, really not the practicality. Now, $1,200 for a graphics card was really steep. And if you look at the inflation value of it, it actually comes up to about almost $2,000 today, which is, unfortunately, that's kind of where graphics cards are. And even during the GPU apocalypse, they were kind of going for like $2,000, $2,500. Graphics cards are just all over the place. And I remember back in the day when you were able to spend like $100, get a decent graphics card and game on it. Yeah, those days are gone. Inflation, greed, technology, but I digress. But the fortunate thing about computer hardware is after several years, that hardware that you always dreamed of, well, you usually get it pretty cheap, except for the Voodoo graphics cards. Those are still ridiculously expensive. Still trying to hunt one down for a fair price. So if you guys get a good lead on one, definitely let me know. But to be able to get this for $100, considering I can still make money on it, it's a really cool collector's piece and I always wanted it. Very excited. But now let's reveal what we got. The NVIDIA Titan X p Collector's Edition Star Wars Jedi Order, and I paid $100 for it. Flippin' sweet. So for some brief information on it, it's the NVIDIA Titan X p Collector's Edition. This is the Jedi Order edition. They also had the Galactic Empire one, which if you look at the prices and the scarcities of those are harder to find and they cost a lot more money compared to this. And I kind of think they look better in my opinion. Came with 12 gigs of GDDR5X, PCIe Gen 3. Recommended power supply for it was 600 watts with a TDP of 205 watts, dual slot, length of 267 millimeters, a width of 112 millimeters, and 40 millimeters in height. And the cards that came out that were pretty much, all in the generation was the 10 series. And like I said, I was rocking a 1060 back in the day just because, didn't have much dollars. Have a little more dollars now, but mostly for the older obsolete stuff. So let's open it up. Let's see if we can make this nice. Pretty cool. Now our cover is kind of stuck in the box. That is just really nice. The whole display and everything. For $1,200, yeah, you're probably spending more because Star Wars and all that stuff. But even then, it's still a really nice display piece. So now we got 8-pin action, 6-pin action, and yeah, that's pretty much about it. It's really cool the way it was designed, just all weathered and, lights up green, and we'll show all that when we kind of, take it apart and fire it up. But just a really cool graphics card. So now let's open this up, see what's in here. Now I bought this 6 months ago and well, I haven't even tested it. Folks, life gets busy. Life gets busy. And I'm kind of bummered because it's missing the little medallion here. Dang it. Garbage. Throw it out. No. At least we got the, destructions? Yep, we got destructions, installation, all that good stuff. Support guide for all the support we need. And we got adapters. What is this? DisplayPort to DVI. I don't think that's ever been used. That's pretty cool. But dagnabbit, they took that. Ugh. But for $100, still a good deal. Now looking on the eBay, and I'll post pictures, these things are all over as far as price. I've seen this one go for about $600 to $800 and just perfect complete edition, meaning that they didn't steal the little medallion here, but the Galactic Empire one goes for a lot more. They're a lot harder to find, and I just think they look cool, and I'll post pictures. All right, so let's pop this back in here because we do not need the destructions. I don't need an adapter. Let's get this out. Nice acrylic. And yeah, it's a very sweet looking card. Now, as far as the condition, well, you can tell it's got dust. It's got a little bit of dust. Hey, at least it has all these. But it's in decent condition. So I think what I want to go ahead and do is just fire it on the bench, see how well it holds up. If it's still good, we're not going to do any benchmarkings right now, but at least run Heaven, stress test it, see what the temperatures are. Are we thermal throttling? Does it even work? Because like I said, I bought it 6 months ago, and we'll take it from there. So we got the trusty test bench. It's an i7 8700, and I know I need to upgrade that. That is the plans for the future, as you know, 8th gen, although it's working still pretty good, I need to get something to kind of keep up with the times a little bit. And for our monitor, we're going to be using this Titan Army monitor. They sent it to me for this video. I greatly appreciate it. More on them in a few. All right, so let's power it up. Nice. I like the green. Definitely like that, you know, kind of like the lightsaber. But what's really interesting is if you ever watched the movie The Matrix, that kind of looks like the whole 01 digital things in that movie. I like it. So real quick, wanted to talk about this monitor. This was sent to me by Titan Army about 6-7 months ago. They sent me another one. I've been using that as my daily monitor. I love it. It's been great. Have had no issues with it, and it looks fantastic. It's the P27 A2R version, 180 hertz refresh rate, 1 millisecond, QHD, 1440p, fast IPS. Also has like the cool button down here, which you could kind of, you know, set up for all the different type of modes to spend, depending on what you're watching. Film, gaming, does the crosshair for, you know, that intense type gaming. It's been great. It's been reliable. Haven't had no issues with it, and greatly appreciate them sending me this monitor for this video. So hopefully this monitor and this graphics card get along. They could do some 1440p action, and yeah, hopefully it'll look good. So I'm gonna wait for this to finish, and when we come back, hopefully we should be able to bench, do some gaming, and give you some thoughts. And drivers are installed. Heaven benchmark 1440p, we're averaging about probably 80 frames per second, and our temperature 83, 84 degrees. And the noise you're hearing is not the graphics card. Believe it or not, the graphics card fan is not going 100% full beams. It's this power supply. I don't know. It might be old, might be too much for it. Not 100% sure. It's Corsair HX 1050, and just recently the fan's been ramping up, so it might be time to move on to something better. But graphics card's running fantastic. It's been 30 minutes. It is not extremely loud. Very happy with it. And even though it's running at 83, 84, it's about 79 degrees Fahrenheit in the garage. So considering, we're not doing too bad. So I think the next best thing that we need to do is open it up, put some fresh thermal paste, clean it out, make this thing more of a short piece, and then game with it. So forgot to turn the camera on. Oops. I already started. So there's a sticker right over here, and there's a screw underneath. Now using a little heat and just gently prying because I don't want to damage this. Typically the warranty stickers I don't give a monkey about, but you know, collector's edition. So we just peeled it back nice and easy, and we'll be able to put it back where it was, none the wiser. But that's where we're going to start. So we got a whole bunch of screws over here. Let's remove this back plate. Now we've removed the little ones. Let's go back to the bigger ones. And there's another one over here. See if I could do some knife action and just... No, that's not going to work. I was able to peel it back with my finger. I was actually going to get the heat gun, but I was able to peel it back nicely. And we got one little guy right over here. And now removed. Now there is like a little thermal pad over here. So I didn't plan for this video like I should have. I'm gonna be honest with you folks. I forgot about thermal pads. In a card like this, I was gonna change the thermal pads, but we're not. So we'll come back and we'll do it later on. But I mean, this thing's running fine. It's an old card. It's not like it's gonna be a dedicated rig. It's more so at this point just gonna be collectors for my collection, display it somewhere. And I actually have a build that I'm actually going to put together with this, with the case that I think is perfect. So stay tuned. You definitely don't want to miss that. Now we should have everything removed where this would ideally separate. And something is holding on to this. So taking a look at it, it appears these, I don't know what you would call them, but these right here need to come off. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, a bunch. Yeah, and I think if I remove those, so one end it screws into and the other one looks like it goes into the cooler. See if I can zoom you in. And this is a 4. It's in the iFixit toolkit. Now will you come off? There we go. And these thermal pads, well, they're not looking too good. Definitely not looking too good, but we're going to reuse them for now. I think this is going to be something I will revisit later. I mean, they're not terrible, but these white ones are just, they're done. Now, as far as our thermal paste, not terrible, but we could do a better job. Surprised it's not as dried. Maybe somebody messed with this at one point. Let's get all this stuff off the best we can. We'll spray the alcohol. A light bristle toothbrush. Now kind of just break all this up. Good as new. And considering this thing is not dusty like you would think. I mean, some in the fan, but nothing that's going to make me worry. And I know some people get triggered by me doing this, but a brush works great. Let's just scoop all this up. So change of plan. I was actually going to take this whole thing apart and really get in there, but after taking the duster, it looks brand new. Looks pretty good. There is evidence that the previous owner or whoever had it did take it apart. I got some strip screws in here, and I'm not going to dive too deep or crazy because number one, I already lost a screw, and that is frustrating. So it looks better. It's fine. Fresh thermal paste. I'll come back. We'll put new pads, and this thing should work. So let's get this thing put back together, put it on the bench, and see if it works good. All right, car's put back together. Looks good. Those are just smudges from my finger, but it's cleaner in here. Got that clean without having to open it up. Bummer about this. I'm definitely going to have to be doing a heavy sweep and taking a look at my garage to find out where did that go. So let's pop it back in. Pray everything works. We are back up and running, and the temperature is the same, 83, 84, but to notate, it has gotten warmer in the garage, 81 degrees Fahrenheit, so we've gone up about 3 to 4 degrees, and that's just inside the garage. It's actually a lot warmer outside, so, and the humidity has gone up, so considering, we probably do have improvement, but the card is working great, performing as it should, the FPSs are good, and yeah, definitely happy with that. So let's throw some games at it. So our first game, the Star Wars one, 1440p, high settings, 56 right now, maybe we're gonna dip to about 30. Our GPU is pegged at 100%, CPU 39%. But the game looks good. Not getting too bad stutters. So I think this is pretty playable. Let's move on to another one. Moving on to my favorite, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, 1440p. I'm at medium settings. And so far we're looking about 100 frames per second. I'm gonna say after this bench run, we're probably gonna average 80. GPU, once again, pegged out. CPU, 45%, 46%. Game looks good. Graphics card is performing very well, and if you're wondering about the fan noise, that is the power supply. The graphics card is actually very quiet, and temps are at 82 degrees Celsius. If we put a more aggressive fan curve, obviously we get better temperatures. So let's finish this benchmark and see our results. So surprised a little bit, 103 frames per second, good experience, 1440p, medium settings. I think I may have said high, but it's medium settings. Game looks good, performs great, definitely happy with it. So not bad. I was gonna play the game, The Last of Us, but I'm running into some issues with it. I went to bump it up to 1440p, and then it keeps giving me the error that it ran out of video memory, and then it's running out of system memory. And yeah, I mean, I've tried reinstalling the game. I think it might be a glitch or a bug that I got going on. I'll have to mess with that, as you know, with the test bench, you're throwing in a lot of different hardware, and it's probably not the best idea, but it is fresh graphics drivers, but I'm not sure what's going on with that. I'm sure the game does play fine. It was working good at 1080p. We was averaging at high settings about 70 to 80 frames per second, but when I dropped in that 1440p, that's when everything went crazy. But for $100 years later, definitely a steal of a deal. Now, if you're gonna go and buy this card, you're gonna pay a premium for it, as you see what they're going for on the eBay. But I mean, if you're able to get one in the wild, even without all the fancy stuff, definitely a cool card to consider. Now, as far as my plans for this card, it's mostly going to be a kind of display showcase once I get my area set up, but I'm not done with it. I do have another idea. I want to put this in a case that kind of showcases what it was intended for, and also, you know, highlight all that good stuff, and also put some hardware to complement it. So definitely stay tuned for that. So like I said, stay tuned. That video is coming up. I think it's going to be a really cool build, weird, unique. I'll give you a hint, a little bit of case swapping involved, so definitely excited to get involved in that. So comment down below, let me know your thoughts, concerns, criticism. Would you keep this card? Would you flip it for the extra money? Do you think the $100 was worth it? And are there any other cards around that time that's still holding up pretty decent? If you like this video, definitely hit the like button, subscribe if you're not, and as always, may the force be with you.